This video is going to look at the ability to create dual input schemes for expressions in Product Template Studio or Template Studio Author, starting here in NX 2406. This is actually a thing that was possible in the original versions of Product Template Studio. And as we moved to the Template Studio Author framework, it was temporarily not possible for a while. And so here in NX 2406, we've re-enabled this, and you'll do a couple examples here so you can see how it works, what it's for, and we'll build one here together. We've got a little thing here for simple versus advanced inputs here, for instance. One potential use of this is this kind of input where, for instance, we've got a simple input here for this block height. This one is kind of the simple version where we can use the slider to do that. If we want to do the expert inputs, we can check that. It'll switch to a mode here where we can type in a value instead, right? And we can do one or the other of those. And if we uncheck that, of course, it'll put us back into this mode. We'll preserve the value as we go between those. At 382, as we switch to this one, you'll notice it says 382 here now. And if we put in something like 412, some random number, then as we go to this one, you'll notice that this goes to 412, right? We've done some work here to synchronize these so that you don't have to do some of the dancing we did in the past with Product Template Studio. We used to do some visual rules and things to keep these in sync, and it does it much more automatically now. So let's go look at this in Author and see how this works. This particular one is a product template. The same concept here is applicable to feature templates and to deformable parts here as well in NX 2406. That all use this same template author framework, right? So let's go look at this one again. Product template. In this case here, so we have our user interface. You'll notice that what I've got here is this expression P3 that's really the height of the block, and that's just in here twice, right? We can take and put that same expression in there again. This add right here used to just be a remove if it was in there already, but now we can add it here if we want to. So again, adding both of these, we don't have to do anything funky with visual rules to keep these in sync. We'll do that automatically, and we've just chosen here a scale presentation for this top one, and we've chosen a key in presentation for the second one, right? And that's really all you have to do to get this to set up. Now, one thing we have done here is to toggle the visibility of these using this expert inputs right here. So this expert inputs is pointing to an expression out there called an advanced input style, and this is, I think, yeah, it says it's a Boolean expression. So this will be either true or false. Of course, if it's unchecked, it'll be false, and if it's checked, it'll be true, right? And so what we can do with that is use that advanced input style expression to drive here the visibility in the dependencies group, the visibility of these guys above, right? So for instance, on this bottom one here, this is our advanced input, right? So when this is true, we want that to be visible. And so you'll see here, as we go into the dependencies for this widget, for the block up above, this is turned on, right? We've enabled visibility there and said that we're looking for a Boolean expression, and if this advanced input style equals true, then this will be visible, right? Just as we would hope there. Similarly, for this top one here, right? With this one, we'll have a very, very similar thing where we'll say here in the visibility that again we've enabled the visibility control for this. That's this first one. And here again, we're looking for the same Boolean expression, advanced input style, and if this equals false, then this top one will be visible, right? So if this is off like this, then the top one's visible. If it's checked, then the bottom one will be visible. So that's how you plumb that, right? That's how you set that up. Similarly, just for fun here, let me exit. I've got another version of this that uses 3 instead of 2. And we'll see a similar thing here. So this particular version has a few different input levels, right? So there's a pre-canned input level here that's a list of values, right, that we can use to choose from. We can do a dynamic, which is much like our slider that we saw before, right? Or we can do a precise input. That's the one like this that we saw a minute ago, okay? So again, this one's using 3 options instead of 2. We used the checkbox before. This one's doing 3. And as you might expect, if we go into author and look at this one, we've got a very, very similar setup here. Again, that same P3 expression is in here 3 times now instead of 2. And we've got a number expression here now called input level instead of that Boolean expression that was there before. And similarly here, if we look at the visibility for any of these, we'll see a very similar setup there, right? In this case here, we're using a numeric expression instead of a Boolean. And we're using that input level expression, that's this one here. And this one's going to give us a 0, this one, a 0, 1, or 2, right, for the index of this as we do that. Again, we can look at that right here. We're looking, and it's going to bring us back list of choices, and yeah, with that, it's going to bring back the index right here, right? So that's just the position in the list here, so 0, 1, or 2 for these. Again, up in here, as we look at the visibility now, we're going to have that numeric expression. We use the input level expression for that, and really have this equal a value, right? This third one is 2. If that expression equals 2, then this one will be visible, right? And as you would expect, this one's going to be similar. It's going to say that instead, if it equals 1, then it's visible. And this top one, of course, is going to have the 0 case there, right? If this one equals 0. So if this one equals 0, we'll see the top. If it equals 1, it's this. If it equals 2, then it's this. And that's how we get to connect with those, okay? So with that, let's build one just really quickly here. That's kind of an interesting one. This wing flap assembly created many years ago, and this one right now has a slider, right, to do this kind of a flap deployment, which is kind of cool. This is a very old Boeing patent that was in my kinematics textbook in college. So I modeled this many years ago in NX when we could first do dynamic assembly constraints because I thought it looked cool. So anyway, this right now has this dynamic input. Let's design this now. Add type in a key in to this. We can leave them both up. We don't even need to toggle the visibility. If we want to, we can slide, or we can type in a value, and we'll see how that works. I'll stick this out in the middle somewhere. It doesn't really matter. And as we go to do the authoring here, we'll take a look at this. There's a flap angle input here. That's the expression. That's this guy. So let's go find that same one. Yep, this guy. And we can add that again here, right? So we've got it in there now twice. The second one, we've got that in as a key in. That's actually fine. So we'll leave that as the key in there. Again, in this case, we won't do anything with the dependencies. And again, it's as simple as adding that second one, right? This is going to use that same thing. I'm going to grab that percent. Actually, that whole label. Let's grab that whole label and put that in there. Or we could just not have a label on the second one. We could do that either way. Let me do a space there, and that'll get rid of that. So if we wanted to do it like this, we could do that. We could put a group around this if we wanted to. But at any rate, these two are driving the same flaps deployment now, right? So if we close this, finish, and come back out, we'll see now that in our dialog we've got both of those. As we change this one here, you'll notice that lower one is staying in sync automatically. Again, this is new, definitely new for NX 2406. And 55, you'll see those two stay in sync very nicely. Okay. Again, this is the ability here, a couple examples of doing it with visibility changes or just having them synchronized on the dialog at the same time. The concept again is these kind of dual input schemes here for expressions in Template Studio Author, applicable again across product templates, feature templates, and deformable components out there as well. So I hope you find that useful.